Thank you. Thank you all for coming out today, and welcome to Nittany MinitMart's 6th annual fire company fundraiser. Hard to believe, 6 years, here we are. It is a true honor for me to be here today in the presence of so many dedicated firefighters. You guys make a difference every day in your communities. I want to take a moment to recognize you and express my deepest gratitude for what you do in our communities. You are the backbone. Your courage, your sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment make a difference every day. Thank you. A round of applause. I also want to thank our participating vendors. Without your support each year, we would not be able to do this. And lastly, I'd also like to express gratitude to Jim and Sharon Martin, the owners of Nittany MinitMart. Your support for providing the opportunity to contribute to our communities and we serve. Thank you very much. Now, with my absolute pleasure, I'd like to introduce someone I've come to admire greatly. He's a remarkable individual, a steadfast supporter of our community, and most importantly, someone I call my friend. Please join me in welcoming Jason Brown.
How's everybody feeling this morning? How y'all feeling this morning in the back? All right, perfect. That's like, how's the food? Food was good? All right. Did y'all save any for me? No? Okay, then that's how it should be. Everybody, my name is Jason Brown, and I'm here to help fuel the cause with you this morning. Are y'all ready to fuel the cause this morning, y'all? Can I? Okay, hold on. I like the whoop. Earlier I was like, Lito's here, and Lito was like, woo! On the count of 3, can I get a good old woo? 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right, we're going to keep that up. What'd you say, Lito? Let's get some excitement in here, right? Everybody, this is Fuel the Cause. And during Fuel the Cause, we're going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. We have Lito here. You're going to hear from Carrie Benningoff here. Gina Bozak is here. We have a lot of wonderful people. We have all of you here. During the Fuel the Cause, we are going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. And the first time I heard that phrase, it's not about the money, was during Christmas when I was a kid. And it reminds me of a time when we used to get the Sears catalog in preparation for Christmas. Anybody remember that Sears catalog for Christmas? The right? All right. Yeah. And my sister and I would sit by the heater in our living room, and we would go through, we got it in August, and we would go through, you thought we were like professional, like executives. No, we can't do this one. We're going to do this one. We can only ask for 3 things. We're going to make sure. And the entire time we're sitting there trying to figure out exactly what kind of gifts we should get. But along the way, we kept hearing this thing like, but the holidays are not about the gifts. It's not about the money. It's about something more. Even still, when I was younger, as I got out of college, during the holidays, during birthdays, I always thought the gifts were the important thing. I felt really good when I had my first job, and I was like, Ma, I'm going to get you a spa day. My mom was like, thank you. My dad, I was like, I'm going to get you some concert tickets. All right, he felt pretty good. A couple years later, I was like, you know what? I have a little bit more money. I'm going to give you even more. They had the fancy new purse for my mom. My dad, I bought him a new drone so we could fly around and take pictures. Thought I was doing pretty good. And finally, I thought I got to the tipping point of it all. I was like, Dad, I'm going to send you on a cruise because I know you like to eat more food than all the food in this room. For my sister, I'm going to provide scholarships for my kid, for her kids. And for my mom, listen, I'll contribute to your lazy boy because that lazy boy is expensive. I finally thought that I got to a place where I was like, money, I can just toss it at my family and that'll be the thing that's most important. But that wasn't the most important thing. I got it wrong, and even after all those times as a kid I heard that it wasn't about the money, I still was missing something. During Fuel the Cause, we're going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. Doing some quick math on the back of a napkin yesterday, it's estimated the operating costs for all PA fire companies is about $800 million a year. I'm probably off, but it's somewhere in the ballpark of that large number. Just say $1 billion, just, with a B. But that doesn't include the salaries if you have them. And so Fuel the Cause helps chip away at that. The work that Representative Carey does helps chip away at that. The work that you do with every fundraiser, grant application, every mailer that you have chips away at that. But even if you were to cover all those costs, that $1 billion costs, being a volunteer is still a really heavy lift. Funds are difficult, but the volunteer side, even more so. So I did a quick little research. I was like, why is the volunteer, even if you had all the funds, why are fire companies still struggling? And here are the top 5 things that are difficult in your position. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, some of you may not try to forget about these things exist, but I want to point them out because this is part of why Fuel the Cause exists in the first place. Number 5, aging population and demographic shifts. Rural areas are aging, and younger generations are moving away and less interested in volunteering. Natural decline. It's problem number 1. Or no, problem number 5. We're counting down. 5. Number 4, increased fundraising responsibilities. Fundraising, volunteer companies now you all rely so much on the fundraising like Fuel the Cause. It's super important. But Fuel the Cause, on top of your hoagie sales, on top of anything else that you might do, don't cover the cost of the shift. In 1970, a fire truck used to cost $25,000 to $35,000. Today, that's $500,000 to $1.2 million. In 1970, some gear and equipment might cost $300 to $500. Today, that's up to $15,000 to $20,000. 3 times the cost of what it was back in the day, at least. And that's on top of inflation. What you have from a fundraising point of view is difficult. It's tough. When it comes to the social dynamics, this is number 3. Dual income households, people are not volunteering as much. It's tough because people don't want to volunteer. Giving back, they don't understand what you all do. And number 2, the economic factors and employment pressures. People are starting to move further away to get their jobs, and it's kind of hard to be a volunteer. It's tough for y'all to find folks who believe and can commit to what you all do. During Fuel the Cause, we are going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. And number 1, the most important aspect of all of these things, and ties into all of this, is that the time commitments and training resources and the training requirements are heavy for y'all. 180 plus hours, increasing call volumes make it hard to volunteer. The top issue isn't the money part. The top issue is the fact that it's hard to get volunteers and people to commit to the time requirement. Almost 98% of the fire companies in Pennsylvania are volunteer. So that is the core of what you all do. We're going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. Just to kind of give you an idea of what training looks like, even from a training perspective. Hi, sir, you want to become a volunteer? Sure. You got to do 180 hours before you even can do anything. Oh, okay. In 1970, it was about 30 hours of training. In 1990s, it was about 100 hours of training. 2010s, 150. 2020s, that's when it bumped up to 175, 180. The time commitments and training resources make it real difficult on top of all these other factors to get y'all volunteers. We're going to raise funds, but it's not about the money. So even after all of your efforts, so even if we were to cover all those expenses, that $800 million, that $1 billion cost, the volunteer part is still the big portion that we need to focus on. Here's where Fuel the Cause comes into play. But you said, Jason, it's not all about the money. Why does Fuel the Cause connect to all this? Here's why. The beautiful thing about Fuel the Cause and why you're here today is that it does something for our communities that money alone can't do. I'll tell you a quick story. I get asked to speak around the world, and one time I was in India, and I took a few days for myself. And it still makes me uncomfortable. I'm scratching my own hands thinking about it. Just so uncomfortable. And so there's one time I was in in this one town in India, and the sun was setting. And there was like this river that I really wanted to get to. And I paid for an Uber ride to get to where I was going. And the guy who was in it was in a tuk-tuk. It wasn't in like an Uber car. It was like in a small little vehicle. And the guy who was driving me there wanted to have a conversation. He was chatting. I was like, yeah, talking to him, driving there. Finally, I got there, and I was so focused on just getting to seeing that sunset. I'm in India. I don't have this experience. And he was having a really personal, he told me about his family. And all I wanted to do when he dropped me off was to get to that sunset, which was a little while away. He was even like, hey, I'll walk with you there so you get there, like, so you know how to get there. Immediately when I got out, I was like, hey, no problem. No, I got it. No, I'm good. I thought he wanted a tip, which is not uncommon in India. So I take out my wallet and I'm like, man, it's all good. Here's $5. And I hand it to him. And he's like, no, I just want to help. And I take out another $5 and I hand it to him. And he looks at me and he's like, he takes the money and he throws it at me. And he's like, I just wanted to talk to you because I've never met somebody from the United States. I don't care about your money. And he turned around and walked away. It wasn't about the money in that situation. It was about the community, the interpersonal connection that was there. And I lost track of that. And that carried back into the next Christmas that I had with my family. I stopped thinking about the big gifts, the cruises, the lazy boys, the purses. I started thinking about like what's actually meaningful here. It's the relationship that I have with my mom, my dad, and my sister. So what we did for the last Christmas is that I convinced my sister to get a babysitter. And it was just my sister and I, my mom and my dad in a car. And we drove around Philadelphia. This is the Christmas gift. Drove around Philadelphia getting gluten-free snacks because my mom's gluten-free and eating burgers because my dad loves burgers. And my parents told me that that was one of the best Christmas gifts that they ever got. It was just focusing on the community aspect. Do y'all need new trucks? Absolutely. Do you need to keep the lights on? Yep. Do you need to get new equipment? Of course. But the point of Fuel the Cause isn't to raise the amount of dollars. It's to engage with the most amount of people in our community. The point of Fuel the Cause isn't to distribute an extra $1,000 to each of your fire companies. It would be nice. It's to get the parents, the schools, the truck drivers, the families, the businesses to think about their fire companies every single time they see their gas tank going on E, every single time that they're hungry, every single time they drive by your fire station or Nittany MinitMart. Maybe they think of their fire companies 5 more times in a week or 2 more times in a day. The point of Fuel the Cause is to celebrate what you all do every day. You risk your lives every single day to do so, and if we do it right, and if everyone in this room, and if the folks on this camera and the folks that are listening to it on media and on our social media and on our conversations just mention the fact that we're doing this, we're creating energy in our communities the same way that I created that energy with my family. We're creating a sense of like fire companies are a family and part of this community, and they need to be supported in a way that will hopefully not only raise funds, but to most importantly get you the folks who are going to volunteer and support you along the way. It isn't about the money. It's about creating love again for fire fighting in our communities, creating excitement, creating incentives, creating opportunity, and creating community. During Fuel the Cause, we're going to raise some funds, but it's not about the money. So on that note, does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense to y'all? On the count of 3, can I get a good old whoop? 1, 2, 3. Whoever is in the back had the most caffeine, you win. I heard that in the back. Are y'all still with me? Say yeah. Are y'all still with me? Say yeah. Awesome. Because the next person coming up here also needs your energy. You may know him. You may have seen him. He might have been in that video. When our next speaker was 10 years old, there were over 300,000 firefighters today in PA. And today there's only 30K. He told me not to talk about him a lot, but I did a little bit of research on Carrie Benninghoff, Representative Carrie Benninghoff. And he's done a lot for y'all. He's done a lot for those, and I didn't recognize this when I met him last year. at least 17 different bills. And he just told me that bills are not the most important aspect of what he does, but over 17 bills he helped pass for you and your family since 1997. Over 17. And he got elected in 1997 and immediately went to work for y'all. And then 20 years later, 25 years later, he's still doing the same thing. He said, these individuals are often the first on the scene of an emergency. They serve and protect the taxpayers and citizens of this Commonwealth without asking for a thing in return. As far as I'm concerned, we as a Commonwealth cannot do enough to support them. Please welcome Representative Carrie Benninghoff, serving Pennsylvania's 171st Legislative District. Carrie.
Good morning, everyone. You know, sitting there listening to Jason, I'm thinking, oh gosh, why can't I get a lousy speaker before me before I got to go up? If I asked you who spoke at the Gettysburg Address, most of you would probably tell me Abraham Lincoln, right? Anybody know the professor that spoke for 2 hours and 15 minutes before him? Nope. Well, it's not a test question. So Jason, I feel like that professor, after Lincoln got done speaking, who only spoke for 223 words, and we still remember it hundreds of years later. I am here to support Nittany MinitMart and PA Skills efforts to help raise money because we would be very lost without each one of you. Men, women, some of the junior firefighters that are involved in some of our programs, which we need to continue to get more of. For those of you who may not be in the fire companies themselves, but listening, think about if you ever dialed 911 and no one responded. It's funny, Jason, I didn't tell you this earlier, but the first year I ran for this office, I ended up having a flue fire. I wasn't home, and I got the phone call that the chimney sounded like a train, of which I reminded the family we don't own a train, so call the fire company. We take that for granted that when we are not home and something happens, guess what? Someone else is going to go take care of that. I was sitting here also thinking that if the whistles went off, you might feel blessed so you don't have to listen to politicians to speak, but more importantly, half this room would jump up and take off and go wherever they got to go, leaving their meals, leaving their family. I know some of these guys, and they've had to say, I'll be back to get you, or in those days, get a cab, because they're out responding, because they know time and response time is about loss of life, loss of property. I'm hoping the people outside this room that may listen to some of this also think about the fact the insurance cost that you pay depends on whether or not you even have a fire company nearby, and actually how close it is to your home, how close the fire hydrant is to your home impacts the cost of your insurance. We're very blessed in this country for the most part. We take a lot of it for granted, but Jason did an excellent job, and I'm not going to even try to get close to it, in giving the background. If we're honest with ourselves, the average firefighter is probably 45 years old or above. Early in my career, we did a mock thing in Harrisburg, and we all got in turnout gear in July, and I think I was the first one to wussy out because I didn't realize how quickly you get dehydrated, even though I thought I was in good shape, putting all that turnout gear and working on trying to take a car apart in the middle of July. Well, these guys don't have the opportunity to wussy out, and they do this at 3 o'clock in the morning. They do it pouring down rain. I remember when I was county coroner, for those of you who don't remember, I served as county coroner here in Center County for several years. I would get on scene, and guys would be there, men and women firefighters, some of them having icicles hanging off their hats, and I would do what I needed to do our photography, do all our scene investigation, collect our evidence, and when I left, got back in a warm car shivering to death, they were still standing outside. This is what Fuel the Cause is all about. Just trying to make sure they're safe when they do those things. Firefighters shouldn't have to be trying to shuffle gloves between each other or trying to find someone else's jacket because they don't have theirs or theirs is not fire retardant anymore. And that's the reality we're dealing with in some of our fire companies. We have guys and gals who have jackets that probably aren't that fire retardant because they're older. That example there is a prime and a good example to just get one firefighter equipped to be safe to protect us and our belongings, it's over $2,000. You only have to have one bad incident where half that equipment's ruined. Do we want them to go out unprotected? No. Because at the end of the day, if you look around here, they're also wives, brothers, fathers, sisters. They got loved ones. They actually have a life. Sometimes they may not think that. Locally, we still have some fire companies that put on carnivals every year. But we take for granted, because we go there, the carnival for what? Entertainment. Good food. Really good food. I don't know why the chicken always tastes better at a fireman's carnival. I don't want to know what you do with it. Just keep doing it. But at the end of the day, they're doing that to raise money so they can run out later that night when I go home and get to enjoy my belly full of chicken. We're very blessed to do that. And we're honored to have these people doing that. To Jim and Sharon Martin, they don't need to be involved in this ordeal, and neither does PA Skills, but they choose to do that because they can't run out and fight fires. They can't go and get a dog or that's stuck in the water or some of the other things that you folks don't even realize they get called out for. And yes, there are funny comedies where cats are stuck in a tree, but firefighters get called for some of those types of things too. And guess what? They still do it. When your fire alarm or your smoke alarm or your carbon monoxide alarm is going off, what do? You run out the door. And you're sure hoping somebody's going to stop by and run in the door. One of the most telling examples I had, obviously, was 9/11, when we have people trying to get out of these buildings that are collapsing. And we had New York firefighters come down into Burnham a couple years later when Burnham was celebrating their 100th anniversary. And they were astonished. They could not believe that in the state of Pennsylvania, 90%, in those days, probably 95% of our firefighters were volunteers that do exactly what those gentlemen did, running into those burning buildings that were collapsing. And they said, your people do this for free? I said, no, they do it for the love of community and their neighbors and people they don't even know. If you want to think about the word service, gratitude, and love, to me, it's expressed by people that do things for people they don't even know. I think Jason's example, the gentleman that just wanted to help him out. He did not want economic return. He wanted to help for other people. Lito's here. Lito doesn't have to be here, but he chooses to be here because he knows there's causes, I hate to say this, bigger than football. Not much around here. But there's a gentleman who's worked very, very hard throughout his life, and he's very successful, but he also knows that giving back to his community is important. And you made my grandson very, very happy when you guys won the Super Bowl. So thank you. Yeah, go Birds! Hey, let's hear it for the Birds. Listen, I know that many of you are the people that we're talking about, but I want you to know those of us who serve in office do appreciate what you do. We try to do what we can through some of our funding sources, but it's never enough. People don't realize fire trucks get wrecked too. Sometimes guys pull out of the station and forget to disconnect hoses. Hoses aren't cheap, but they get hit on different accident sites, and their equipment's not cheap to replace. And they can't afford to have a vehicle down. We can send a car to the shop, and sometimes our insurance will get us a replacement, or there's not a whole lot of temporary replacement fire trucks or tankers or pumper trucks sitting around waiting while one goes to be repaired. Get the message out to your neighbors and friends and those who may be watching today, because at the end of the day, if we don't have the volunteer system that we do in this state and willing to continue, it will come out through taxation, and your millage will go up, and we'll have to go to paid companies, even if we can find people to do it. That's the scarier thing that I believe, in addition to the cost of equipment. As Jason would say, it's not about the money, it's about the people and the manpower. I don't know if you have ever experienced calling into an emergency center, and I have in my earlier years, before there was such thing as 911, calling for an ambulance, and no one responded. Called for an ambulance, and they couldn't get a crew. That's a very frightening experience that most of us have had the luxury of not experiencing because we have good volunteers. But the numbers are against us. Jason talked about the fact that Pennsylvania is an aging state. That's true. We're the third largest aging state in the nation. Well, guess what? The firefighters are aging as well. Who will respond, and what will you do if nobody responds? Anybody out there that's even thinking about being a firefighter? A good, young, healthy guy like Jason could be a good firefighter. Heck, that guy probably carried 2 sets of hoses with the amount of energy he has. Don't underestimate yourself. And you know what? Maybe you don't want to fight fires, but maybe you want to be a driver or help with the training or help with equipment. This is a plea also, in addition to raising the money through what we're doing with a penny a gallon for the next 2 months through Nittany and our good friends at PA Skills, both are willing to give. We need manpower and woman power. As my mother would say, behind every good man is a great woman. And I would say, yes, mother, especially around Christmas. Let me close with thanking those who put this together today. For those that are sitting here as participants and as firefighters, be proud of yourself. When you look in the mirror, say, I am a giver. I am helping other people, even people I don't know, because that's a worthy cause, and you should be very, very proud of yourself. And as a community, as one of your legislators, I'm extremely thankful for you. And young man, I hope some of you and your buddies are all going to grow up and be firefighters as well. You got great examples sitting to the left and right of you. Mom and Dad are the best examples around. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. He mentioned that I might be able to carry some hoses. Obviously, he doesn't know anything about my knees. So my knees are terrible. That's not, look, y'all, I'll help share the word, but my knees would not appreciate anything else. Another round of applause for Kerry, please. To continue the vibe, we are going to have another individual come up and share some thought, because this could not be done without our sponsors. Last year, we raised over $175,000 with the help of our sponsors. And this year, we might be able to raise even more, especially with their help. So on behalf of our 2 major sponsors, Pennsylvania Skill Games and Pace-O-Matic, please welcome Senior Vice President of Marketing and Management of Pace-O-Matic, Gina Busick.
Good morning. I had to make sure it was still morning. There's only one thing harder than going after the initial speaker and being the second speaker, and that's speaking after a politician. So I'm going to do my best, but thank you very much, Representative, for your kind words. I'm Gina Bozak. I'm Senior Vice President of Market Management for Pace-O-Matic. We are the ones that provide the software in the Pennsylvania Skill Games around the Commonwealth. I wear another hat as well. I chair the Pennsylvania Skill Charitable Giving powered by Pace-O-Matic board, and it is an honor to do so. Today, I am here representing both Pennsylvania Skill and Mealy Manufacturing in our contribution. I'm joined today by 2 representatives from Mealy Manufacturing that I'd like to recognize, Jeff Millay and Mark Stiller. Without your partnership, Pace-O-Matic would not be able to donate what we donate, so thank you for that. The Martin family and Nittany MinitMarts have been great partners, and their generosity to the communities where they have stores is tremendous. They could be like many other companies. They could just operate and not worry about the communities or the employees where they live. But they're not. They're more than that. They worry about their communities, they want to give back, and they give back. So many companies out there want to give back, but they don't. Pennsylvania Skill and Mealy Manufacturing share their commitment to the communities where we operate, and more specifically, their support for volunteer firefighters, like many of you here. We all recognize that firefighters and others like you play a critical role in protecting communities across Pennsylvania. It's hard to fathom where we would be without you. As you know, the idea of volunteer firefighting started right here in Pennsylvania by Benjamin Franklin and his bucket parade 250 years ago. Well, look at the picture. We don't use the bucket parade anymore. The equipment that you use is incredibly expensive. We give a lot of donations to fire organizations around the Commonwealth, and I'm amazed by the type of equipment that's been requested for us to donate funds to. I had no idea. We encourage all of you, if you need money, take part in putting in an application to our cause, or our organization, to help your cause. It's been an amazing experience going to fire stations and learning, you don't just spray hoses of water on the fire. It's tremendous what you have to do, how heavy the jaws of life are. We spoke about how heavy the water coming through the hoses are. It's just amazing what you guys do, and I am honored to be in this room with you. We're proud today to join Mealy Manufacturing in matching Nittany MinitMart's penny a gallon of gas campaign, Fuel the Cause. Whenever Nittany MinitMart donates a penny a gallon in April and May to firefighters, so will we. We also ask people to think about how they can help, if not financially, by volunteering your time. It has been an honor to be here today. It's an honor to be in your presence. I want to thank Jason. I want to thank Representative Benninghoff. I want to thank all of you. It's extremely humbling to be in your presence.
Y'all still with me? Say yeah. Yeah. In the back, I still see y'all. Y'all think y'all got away with it, including folks in the back. If y'all still with me, say yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm going to try one more time. One more time. If everyone in the room is still with me, say yeah. Yeah. There we go. That's the energy that I want to hear. A lot of this is preaching to the choir, y'all. Y'all know this stuff. Y'all are just like, yes, we know, because we do it every single day. And even with all these benefits in place that we're talking about, that Carrie helped us put in place, even with Fuel the Cause, all the money that we're trying to get back, it is tough for y'all. And so there's one thing that Nittany MinitMart wants to add on top of Fuel the Cause. It's not just going to be the money at the pumps. It's not just going to be the money in the stores. There's one more thing that they want to give you in this room specifically, and all the other firefighters in our areas. If you are a firefighter, Nittany MinitMart is creating this opportunity where each of you will get 7 cents off every single gallon that you use at Nittany MinitMart, right? If you are a firefighter, you get 7 cents off every single gallon that you get. And just in case you're like, oh, does that hurt Fuel the Cause? No, actually during Fuel the Cause, you get 7 cents off per gallon, and 2 cents still goes back to Fuel the Cause. So it's 2 cents, and you get the 7 cents off. And the great thing is that this applies to everyone who's a firefighter. Now, how does this work? How does this work? First of all, can you all just take out your phones if you got them? Take out your phones if you got them. Take out your phones. I'm going to ask you to use the camera on your phones real quick. So on your table, there should be, right in the middle, there should be a little QR code thing that's in the middle of the table. And if you scan that, that's how you download your rewards app. And if you use that rewards app, that's how you get 7 cents off for every single gallon. It doesn't matter how expensive the gas is, 7 cents off for the gallon that you want. So you got to download that app. And then once you download that app, I'll tell you what to do next. And the cool thing is this. Carla, where's Carla? While you're figuring that out. Carla is sitting right over here. Hold on, I don't want you to applaud for her yet because you don't know why you would be applauding for her. But here's Carla over here. She's the one that helps make sure that all of this happens. So for every firefighter who's using the app. So here's a quick thing about Carla while you might be logging into the app. I just want you to keep this in mind. When she was 16 or 17, she grew up with her dad. Her dad was a firefighter. Some of you may work with Carla, but you might not have known this. And when she was 16 or 17, she actually became a firefighter herself. She said that she remembered her dad being on the back of the fire trucks when they rode tailgate, and she was inspired by that. She admired him for what he did for the community. She has a memory of one of the first times that she was a firefighter in the meat of it. And the staircase, everything was ablaze, and she's worried about who to save, who to help, who to make sure that everyone's okay, to put this fire out. Is my team okay? Are we following all the things that we need to follow? But there's a little part of her that was like, this is amazing. She has that same thrill and passion that you all have, and the same sense of duty that you all have. She got into EMS when she was younger. She was a 911 operator. She has EMA certifications. But even after all these decades of all that experience and working with Nittany, MinitMart, and trying to get you rewards, she still misses doing what you do. So as someone who's helping you get 7 cents off every single gallon that you get, and also the person who loves and has been in your shoes, please give a round of applause for Carla over there. And the cool thing is, she's going to be around if you're not sure about if you're signed up. Basically, she needs to know, the team needs to know who you are, your phone number and your email address, to make sure that you are signed up for the 7 cents off. So make sure you check in with Carla to do so. And she has a full team. And even if the folks are not here, please get in contact with Carla. Make sure you get her information before you leave so that the rest of your team and those future volunteers who are coming through can also get 7 cents off too. Just one more little incentive to get volunteers into the mix. And also, if you're struggling to log in, I'm willing to help out too. I've done IT work in the past as well. So, as we wrap up for today, please make sure you continue to grab some food in the back. Please make sure that you stick around and hang out and get some autographs from Lito Shepherd in the building. One more time, where are my Eagles fans at in the room? Wait, what are the rest of y'all? Uh-oh. No, don't say that. You're going to get tackled by Lito Shepherd. Nobody wants that. Okay, all right. But as we wrap up, a big old thanks to Pace-O-Matic and Pennsylvania Skill Games. A big thank you to Representative Benninghoff, and also a big old thank you to Gina Bozak. Can we give another round of applause for those folks as well, please? And I'll just leave it at this, is that doing Fuel the Cause, this is all about raising funds, but this is not all about the money. This is about you. This is how we can get some more volunteers and support what you do in the community. On that note, I want to say that we're going to be right outside here. There's a big old fire truck. And what we would like to do is have all of you join us for a beautiful picture in front of this fire truck before you all disperse. After that, Lito Shepherd will be in the building to grab some photos and some autographs. He'll be at the center table right over here, right here in the middle of the room. So know that that's the case. I want to say thank you on behalf of all of Nittany MinitMart. Can we give a round of applause to all the Nittany MinitMart staff as well, please? Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your afternoons, and of course, fuel the cause.